So with Season 2 finally coming out to across all platforms for Soul Calibur 6, let's talk about the massive amount of changes made to Astaroth in Season 2. So for his first move he got back was his Bear Tamer. And I am super excited and super happy that this move is back, because this was a tool that he was lacking quite a bit in the first season. And as you noticed, that the range on it has been extended from previous games. Now you can do it from the starting position of when the match begins, which is very important for him controlling space. Because especially with characters like Talum, he didn't have that many great tools to deal with them, especially at ranges that were, where he excels at, because his most efficient thing before Season 2 was this. And that move was so bad. It's so bad at controlling space. But now that he is Bear Tamer back, now he can at least control the space more efficiently and also have some setups into his throws, which is part of his conditioning game plan. Because you're not playing Astaroth to do some cool flashy shit. You're playing Astaroth because you're getting some quick, cheap, easy damage, and just also mind games. Astaroth is very good at playing mind games, and having this back definitely helps his repertoire for that, as he did in his older games. Another returning move, his second move he got back, was Burial, which, once again, they changed its inputs comparison to Bear Tamer, but another thing they changed was the damage output on the move, where it deals on average 22 to 28 or 30 damage depending on the scenario and the damage scaling, whereas before in older games where damage scaling wasn't as a big of a thing, they nerfed it quite the damage basically almost in half. So, because originally in older games it was 35 to 40, but unlike the Hades canon, this is basically guaranteed damage now, whereas in the older moves you were rewarded with more damage by performing Burial, where this one is basically guaranteeing your damage in case your opponent likes to use Chemi or likes to roll to the side. And unfortunately, just like the older games, if you try to catch them on their side, it'll just knock them away and then deal basically no damage. So, but this is nothing new compared to the older games. The only thing that's really new is the new input for it and the damage decrease. But also in exchange for that, it tends to connect a lot more now. And they don't necessarily have to be flat on the floor. All that matters is that if they're crumbling, they're falling in a straight line. As you can see, as long as you're within like a 25-30 degree angle, you should be fine. So the third move Astaroth got back was his rack back throw, and they swapped the input from his original back throw in this game to the rack. So now on default, now you will do this instead of him stepping all over your opponent. What they did with that is they did throw back. So now Astaroth has two back throws, which is very important because this is also relevant for people trying to guess what he's doing, and now he has a mind game for the back throw, which now Voldo and Astaroth players have to watch out for. And I think those are the only two people that can break back throws, unless they change that too. But regardless, this is yet another situation he can put you through. So the first move of Astaroth's new moves is his Vile Titan Throw, which can be performed by forward back AG. And as you can see, it has tons of momentum. It pushes the opponent forward, and it does a solid 46 across formats. Like, across between damage, scaling, what have you. Like, this move is very solid, because especially on the bigger characters, you can get some pretty nasty whiff punishes. So if you see a Nightmare acting a little silly, and he's not doing the proper thing, you just throw out one of these. And yet, this is another move you can do off your round start, just to throw people off their game. And the fact it restands sets your opponent up for more situations they don't want to be in, namely your throws. So, if you're looking for a quick cash grab on some damage, and since it's very, very hard to get out, this is the perfect setup for his critical edge. Because you can start up just towards the end of the animation of the throw.
Stop making noise. Still moaning?
So I highly recommend you trying this move out and see where you can get some nasty setups from here. The second new move Astaroth has is Wicked Judgment. And just like Vile Titan, it has tons of momentum, but unlike Vile Titan, it has its, upsides and downsides. So the other new thing about it is that instead of forward back, it's back forward AG.
Easy.
And unfortunately, unlike the other throw, it doesn't have nearly as momentum.
Easy.
So, and on top of that, it only does 56 damage, and you are in far more recovery than the Vile Titan is. So, it's nice, for just an easy 56 damage just to close out a round, whatever, because it's a solid 56 across, the damage scaling and what have you. So, unfortunately, there isn't anything too special to this throw. It really pales in comparison to Vile Titan, honestly. So if you see a lot of Vile Titan throws out there, I'm sorry, it's just one of his best moves now. So Astaroth's third new move is his Deathbringer, which can be performed by doing crouching BK. And it doesn't matter if it's a counter hit or not, it will always stun the opponent temporarily, long enough for you to do a crouching grab. This is really nice for like a get off me kind of thing. It's not the fastest move, so some characters like Talum and Voldo can still harass you. However, it is nice to have this as like your surprise damage, and it just makes Astaroth even scarier. And yes, there is a little bit of a damage scaling to it, but that's still a guaranteed 60 plus damage. So, yeah, that's basically a quarter of your health gone through that simple interaction, and I am all up for it. So, Astaroth's Soul Charge move is performed by doing quarter circle forward ABK, and it can be held, which instantaneously soul charges them, and then also allows you a free attempt at a low grab. What this means for you is that you get to go ahead and get basically an attempt at 80 to 95 damage, but however, if you hold it, it only has one hit of armor. So there's not too much of a delay to it, so that's kind of useful. But a lot of you will try to hold it for armor, as I tend to do myself. So it is a guilty habit of mine. I tend to always hold my button presses. It's a strength and weakness for me, but honestly, I like the move a lot because of what it sets up for him afterwards. Because you can do this, and then set up for your Vile Titan, or just a flora thing. And I'm all on board with this move. This move is fantastic. 10 out of 10. So in regards to the changes to him with Season 2 on board now, I am 100% in favor of all these changes. These changes were phenomenal. Astaroth needed them really badly. And overall, I think we might actually start seeing him in tournaments over the whole as well menace that has been plaguing the tournament scene. So we'll definitely see a lot more nightmares now popping up too with his changes and all that. But overall, I think Astaroth has a shot now. Between the cast and all them, he definitely got a tier bump. I solidly believe that he went from being a mid-tier character to being a mid to high tier. So he's not quite top tier yet. He's really strong now, but he still has some glaring issues like his obvious, speed to damage comparison, where he has a lot of damage, but also not too much mobility. But other than that, 10 out of 10. Would love to see some more changes for him. And here is some example combos with the new stuff in mind.